Alright, so let's just jump right into this, although I am gonna say, full disclaimer, I have not fully beaten the game yet. I'm like really freaking close. I'm on the last chapter and everything, but just with time constraints of, real world stuff, real life, getting all that done. So I just want to put that out there because, usually with these videos, I fully beat the game, not 100%ed, but like got to the end of the game. But I just want to clarify, at the time of recording this, I am like maybe only an hour or two, not that far away from beating it, but by the time this is uploaded, I will have definitely completed the full game. So anyway, let's not waste any time because there's a lot to talk about and go right into the story of Judgment. So, of course, with any game by this company, obviously there's a lot more to it, but the very basic story is you're playing as Yagami, who has his own detective agency, and he was a lawyer 3 years ago, got a man acquitted for, saying he did not unalive this person, and then not long after the person was acquitted, aka not guilty of unaliving, it turns up his girlfriend was unalived in their apartment, so Yagami is under the belief that he basically let a unaliver go, and because he let an unaliver go, that person then ended up unaliving an innocent woman. And so now he just runs a detective agency where there seems to be somebody going around taking out Yakuza members, and he at first is tasked with just proving the innocence of this one Yakuza member. That's to just get the basics, if you don't know anything about it, to maybe see if this game sounds at all interesting to you. But obviously there is a hell of a lot more to it, so let's just jump right into the gameplay. So there is a lot to talk about gameplay-wise here, so let's just get right into it. This game does work like the original Yakuza games do, where you have different fighting stances that you go between, although Yagami here only has two. He has Crane and Tiger, one for crowd control, one meant for just one-on-one, controlled like that. And you obviously, you have it's what's called, SP special points. I can't remember what exactly. Skill points, that's what it's called. But you have your skill points where you can upgrade in order to, boost your attack and boost your health, give you special benefits with Tiger and Crane. I personally ended up finding myself just using Tiger a lot. Like I said, one's technically for crowd control and one's meant for one-on-one, but I just found myself using Tiger a lot, and I was also even playing on normal difficulty. But you have those two fighting stances, obviously, and you have what is called an X gauge, where you can do kind of like a big damage dealer move if you hit triangle at the right time. You can, of course, grab people, and you can, of course, pick up, like the Yakuza games, you can pick up bicycles or weapons that are dropped by enemies that you have already taken care of. Another big gameplay aspect of this game is it does focus very heavily on like the detective aspect and everything, so you will have some instances, for instance, where you were flying a drone. They never last for very long, and it's not very complicated, but you'll have to just fly the little drone, zoom in on the right place and take a picture, or just kind of look and see what's going on in a room in order to understand if anybody's leaving or whatever. Another aspect with the detective side is tailing someone, and that involves you're gonna follow somebody for some predetermined distance, and you have to make sure you're not seen by them. You can sprint in those instances, but I never really did because it just brought you too close to the target and they would end up seeing you. So they do have it's not like the second they see you, you've instantly lost. It's a gauge that'll be at the top of the screen that like, you know, it'll fill up if they're staring at you for too long. And of course, that is something also, skill points, that you can make it so it takes longer, like for the gauge to fill up. So that way you have time to find, either you can just stand out of sight, or there are specific like hiding spots where if you're hiding in it, like it's behind a sign, or you're, you know, leaning up against like a light post and just on your phone, then, and even if you're technically in plain sight, like the one leaning up, you know, with your phone, if it's the predetermined hiding spot like that, where you have to actually, you know, go to it and hit a button to activate it, then whoever it is you're tailing won't be able to see you there. So that's also, you know, just something to keep in mind with that, because there were some times where I would just stand behind something and it worked as long as you were out of line of sight, but 9 times out of 10 you're gonna just want to find one of the predetermined appropriate hiding spots. And then finally, the last kind of like in the detective gameplay is there will be instances where you have to chase people. Now those, Yagami is like basically on a set train track or whatever, if you will. He's on a set path. You don't have to control it in that regard. You just have to do little quick time events of either, you know, putting the left trigger left or right, or hitting a certain button in order to avoid obstacles. There is a little, like, if there are traffic cones that you can easily skirt around, you have to, you know, move your character like you would be just walking around or whatever to get out of the way. But most of the time it's quick time event stuff, and like I said, you don't have to worry about making sure you're paying attention to where he's going, because the character Yagami, he just automatically follows them. It's set up on like an auto path like that, which is really nice. And I was saying the last thing with detective, but honestly, there is one more thing of, it doesn't come up too often, but sometimes you have to wear a disguise. If you don't need the disguise, you won't be able to put it on. And also, I've noticed, at least when I was doing it, it doesn't really, minus the first time you wear the disguise at like the beginning of the game, any point after that, it doesn't really seem like it matters which disguise you wear. So, you know, you can just basically go for whatever one you want. It doesn't really make much of a difference. There will also be instances where when a conversation is going on, you can get more skill points if you answer with the correct answer consecutively and on the first try. So like there will be 3 points where, this is just an example, 3 points in a conversation where you have to choose a response. And if you choose the correct response first 3 times in a row, then you'll get extra bonus points. There's not really any other punishment if you don't choose the right answer. You just don't get the extra points. And most of the time it's pretty easy to tell which answer's gonna be the right one. It's never too terribly difficult, so that's always a good thing. And of course, like any of the Yakuza games, there is plenty of side quests, and there are also in this game what are called friend events. Now for some like side cases and everything, you'll either have to go to this particular bar, the law office, or your office, and you can select side cases there. Otherwise, they will just be located like just around town on the map. But there are some that are locked behind a friend event. So, which that means you just, you know, those are marked on the map too. You find the person, talk to them, help them with whatever their thing is, or like, because for instance the convenience store guys, you just have to spend enough money to get the points, and then oh, you're friends with them. And it'll also like put up, I believe it's called your like street cred, not street cred, but like public opinion, something like that. And you have to have it at a certain level to get some of the side cases open. So if you are trying to do all the side cases, keep that in mind that you will need to do the friend events and everything, because some of them are locked behind that. Now, none of them, of course, are too difficult to do. The friend events especially are really simple. There's like one guy, find his cats. There's one where you have to set up this guy and girl who work at the same like coffee shop, and you just have to get them set up on a date. Nothing ever really too difficult. Side cases, which is, the sub stories for this game, I have plenty of the uniqueness, like for instance the like pervert trio, and that one's always fun. And you have the one where you are having to help a publishing company be able to be the ones to publish a book by this famous author. So you have a lot of your silly, quirky side ones and then slightly more serious ones. And now I will mention that there are also these items called extracts, which can give you like little bonus things. If you buy the PS5 copy, not the PS4 and upgrade, you have to buy the PS5 copy of Judgment. You get a few that you can use infinitely. There's just like, it's a timer on a cooldown for if you use it once. And let me tell you, they can be very helpful sometimes. They're ones that do a lot of damage. And like I said, the way to get them is you just have to buy the PS5 copy of Judgment. So just as a side note for that. But anyway, let us move on to my thoughts and opinions. Honestly, I really love this game. We found out about it when we were, like Senor Sylveon and I, when we were scrolling through just the PlayStation Store. And I think at that time, yeah, I was just starting to play Yakuza Like a Dragon. And then we saw Judgment. And I was like, oh, that story looks interesting because I love that kind of stuff, detective, like mystery, whatnot. And then we even saw it was by the same company. So I was like, heck yeah, let's get it. So we did end up, like I had said, getting the physical PS5 copy, which definitely came with its benefits. And I'm so glad I took a chance with this game because I really enjoyed it. I honestly think the story, it was really well written. It's like any of their, because even the Yakuza games slash Like a Dragon, I guess at this point, they do have really good stories. Plenty of like really interesting, rather, complex characters. Like, I feel like Judgment hasn't picked up near as much popularity as the Yakuza games, and I would really love if it did. Obviously, at this point, I have not played Lost Judgment, but I do have that one, and I'm definitely going to check it out. But, like, if you do like the Yakuza series, I definitely recommend checking out Judgment. Or even if you don't like Yakuza, like the Yakuza series, if you like these kind of, mystery games and everything that have a whole murder mystery, like, check out this game. And while it technically does, I guess, fall within the timeline, like if you're looking for a, what's the technical order to play this company's games, Judgment does fall in that you're technically supposed to like play Judgment, then Like a Dragon, then Lost Judgment, then The Man Who Erased His Name, or maybe swap it, something like that, and then Infinite Wealth is technically how it goes. But honestly, you don't have to have played any of the Yakuza games, like even more so than just, how they kind of started fresh with Like a Dragon with Ichi and everything, and you technically don't have to play the old Yakuza games. Yeah, with Judgment, you really don't have to. And if you're not interested in playing the Yakuza games and you just want to play Judgment and its sequel, you can do that, because as far as I know and can tell, unless there's something I'm missing because I haven't played all the original Yakuza games yet, the only real connection between them is the fact that they both take place in Kamurocho. That's it. Is that Judgment takes place in the same city, town as the original Yakuza games. Otherwise, yeah, you don't have to play them. So I highly recommend checking this game out. And if you do have a PS5, like I had said, I highly recommend getting the PS5 version. Don't get a PS4 version and do the upgrade, because You won't get all the really nice, cool, fun stuff if you don't. Of course, you know, it is what it is. If you do have to get the PS4, if you don't have a PS5, you know, there's nothing wrong with getting that. But honestly, you know, like, and the fact that they do give that is really nice. But yeah, this game I highly recommend checking out. It's got that good balance of, there's humor stuff, because like a lot of the side quests that you can do, because I did a good chunk of them, you know, they got the humor. There's some of them that are maybe a little more serious, but you know, they have a lot of the humor. And even just in game, like during the main story and all of that, that's also really enjoyable, because I've said like Kaito and Yagami are basically like buddy cop, but I guess it'd be buddy detective because it's a detective agency. They're not cops, but they definitely have that dynamic going, and in a way that works because it's funny. Like, they bounce off of each other and like flow. They just flow really well. They got some fun, witty dialogue. It makes it so entertaining. Don't mind my dog snoring right behind me if you can hear her, or my children playing, because yeah, they're having a grand old time in there. But like, it's kind of weird. I'm not the biggest fan, speaking of like the extra stuff, of necessarily having to do like the friend events and then doing these side quests, because it really does kind of feel like a lot of padding it out, because the game itself, if you just do the main story, you can beat it in about just under 30 hours. But if you do like completionist for everything, it's suddenly an over 100-hour game. And at first, because I looked at how long to beat, just because sometimes I like to, you know, just know for reference, and I was like, why does the game, like, why can it end up taking so long if you do all the extra stuff? And I looked at it, and I was starting to play it, and I was like, oh no, yeah, I could see why, because some of these friend events, they themselves can take a bit to do, just like the sub-stories and the side missions. So it's like, it feels a bit like it's padding the game out to add stuff, but like, it's not like it was just hastily written in and it was complete garbage and they didn't put any thought to it. It's not padding in that sense. It kind of felt like it was maybe unnecessary. They could have combined it or had less like of the friend events or something. I don't know. So it's not padding in the, you know, it was just thrown in there and it's complete garbage. Like, and you can completely avoid, except for a few that kind of end up being, you know, well, actually, no, I don't think there's really any that tie into the main story. There are a few, but for the most part, otherwise, you can basically skip all of them and you're really not going to miss much. You know, it's one of those nice things where, yeah, it adds more time with the game, more time, you know, with the character and everything, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you don't do all that stuff. And let's be real, we all love when the side stuff is like that. I like when it adds to it, but then also, you know, if you just don't have the time or just don't want to, it's also not going to completely take away from the game. And like, I haven't really had too many of these like actual detective type games, so let me know down in the comments below if you have stuff like that. But most of the time it's just, you know, shows or something that's the murder, like a murder mystery thing. So I really like that the game really laid in on that, and it was interesting playing as a character who like was a lawyer. That, I mean, it's not like the gameplay differs much in the lawyer sense, but it definitely was interesting. I haven't really seen any games where you're playing as a person who literally passed a bar exam and is a lawyer in any capacity, whether they're practicing currently or not, you know? It makes it interesting. But anyway, I am honestly going to give this game like an 8.5 out of 10. Highly recommend checking it out. Like I said, even if you don't like want to check out the Yakuza games or anything. But anyway, that is going to be it for today's video. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. You don't have to, but it helps let me know what y'all enjoy watching. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I upload every Friday. Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, my Discord, second channel. They're all linked down below. The whole schedule for Twitch, it's all on there. It's all good to go. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!